Hello, everyone. Kyle A0Z. Welcome to the channel. And I've got George KJ6VU. Hello, George. George,
Kyle,
you there?
how are you?
And Alan in
Hi there.
KJ. Hello, Alan. Are we live? Are we going?
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now. Hello, everyone.
Okay.
We are here streaming in Frank's spot. We had an opportunity to take over Frank's 6 p.m. spot. He is somewhere in the Caribbean on a ship. I don't know if they're going to throw him overboard. I don't know if they're just going to like dunk him in the ocean. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I am here. And we're going to talk to George and Alan about this really cool product called iShareRadio. Now, I have done a stream on iShareRadio. I don't know when it was. It was probably a year ago, maybe. And I think some things have evolved. Some other things, new things have probably happened. So I wanted to get an update on the progress. And basically, from what I understand, it's a way to share your station out to club members, to other people, to it's a service that you guys are going to provide, and we're gonna figure out. I've got a need. I might have a need here coming up soon that might include this service. So I'm looking at it from a user perspective. I'm probably going to ask some questions, but what we're going to do is we're going to release the mics to George and Alan, and I think you guys are going to do just an update on what it is and just to bring everybody up to speed, right?
Yeah, we'll share a little bit, a couple slides to just sort of frame the idea. What was the problem we're trying to solve, and what are we building? And then we're going to give you a live demo of the software up and running.
That's awesome.
And we know how dangerous that could be.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's only one way to find out. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's do an overview first and go from there, and then we'll see where that leads.
Okay, let me figure out how to share
Okay.
my screen here.
That's the first thing that we have to figure out.
Technical challenge number one.
Maybe we should have done this before we started streaming. Okay, here we go.
Probably would have been a better idea.
Here we go.
All right.
Yeah,
we got like
slides. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me kind of set the stage here.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, it's like in my email.
Oh geez, let's not do that.
I saw it. Well, that's okay. Oh, now he's gone.
Did we lose George entirely? Oh no.
He's out. Peace out. Peace.
Give him a minute to come back.
Yeah, he figured out that
Come back,
that he hit the big red button versus the other button. George. Where is George?
This is the problem with live.
Well, there's buttons in the bottom of it, and if you hit the wrong one, obviously it disconnects.
Yeah. Well, I'll give him another few seconds, and then I can.
Okay, here he goes.
Oh, good. He's back.
Hey, George.
Propagation is terrible this time.
It's horrible. I mean, they just turned off the bands whenever Winter Field Day was done, right? They just.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So let me figure out how to do this share thing, and we'll get it going here. All right, let's see. Window. Let's do that instead of a Chrome tab. Let's share a window. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa.
There. Does that look like PowerPoint to you?
No.
No.
We're seeing the this window.
Yeah.
It's like you're at the old barber shop again.
Yeah. Now we're in the Matrix.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm hitting the screen share. And
are you on two?
Oh, let's go.
Are you on two screens?
I'm not. Nope. Okay, we're gonna try for sharing the whole screen.
We're in the Matrix.
Third time's the charm.
Here we go.
There we
All
go.
right, yay!
Okay.
All right.
So now that we've got the slides to work, we've run out of time. I know how this goes.
And we're out. So all right. Okay, go, George.
So let me kind of rewind back a little bit. So I started using Flex radios for club applications, and I know a bunch of other folks who use Flex radios for remote station operation with multiple users. And so as I got into that, a couple things occurred to me. One was that the way that the Flex radio with SmartLink is set up, it works really, really well for an individual user. But if you have a club with multiple users, it's not ideal because there's one set of login credentials.
Right.
And as we look to deploy a Flex radio in a club setting, there's a bunch of things that are kind of missing from the ecosystem. So you need to be able to figure out how to schedule time on the radio. You need to figure out how to manage the radio and monitor it and that sort of stuff. So we started going down the path to find some hardware and software that we could pull together to make remote station operation easier and make it more turnkey. I mean, people have been doing remote station stuff for 20 years, so the concept's not new, but it was always, you have to really roll your own solution. And so we wanted to solve that.
Yeah, I know a few big contest stations, and they have remote operators, and what they have done is they have set their own VPN up, and then they've given people the VPN credentials. They log in, and then whenever the contest is done, they remove their credentials so they can't get back in. And that's just a bunch of admin work, and also a lot of work on the end user to figure out, okay, how do I set the VPN up? Do I have all the parameters right? It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, exactly. And something like a VPN is not a bad thing to do, but like you said, it puts some of the onus on the end user. And if you, let's say you have a big public club, and I belong to a couple of clubs here in Portland where there's, 100, 200 members, and there's a remote station, and there's not a lot of good tools to manage that in a professional way. So for example, you don't want to hand out the one login credential to the Flex radio to everybody.
Right, exactly. Right.
You don't want to have to do the VPN thing. You don't want to install some custom software. You don't want to just have some, like, let's say, for example, if the station's going to be off the air this weekend because we're doing maintenance on the antenna, I send an email to the 100 club members. Who's going to read it? I mean, nobody's going to read the email.
Yeah.
So there's really like no good way to do that. So we started to put together some ideas about what's necessary to really make that work. And the effort really turned into two different projects. It turned into a hardware project that we talked about before called the station controller. And that as a product was, we were in beta a year ago, completed the beta before Hamvention, and have been shipping products since then. So that's a released product, and that's part of the solution. But the real other missing link was on the software side. It was the software infrastructure to provide a club to administer that remote station. And that's what we've built with iShareRadio. And so I'll give you just a little overview of some of the key features of that. And then Alan could to give us a live demo and actually see how the thing works. So, so when you think about a remote station, there's really three big parts to it. There's the station itself, the radio, and of course the antennas and power systems and all that stuff. And that's a solved problem. At least for Flex Radio, it's solved very well. Elecraft is doing a nice job solving that problem. Some of the other radio manufacturers have some decent remote control capability, but probably not as good as as Flex, for example.
Right.
So, but that problem is solved either by the radio manufacturer or a third party. But those third parties building the solutions are really focused on two things. One is controlling the radio and piping the audio or the CW back and forth. What we're really focused on are the other two things. iShareRadio, which is the software service that allows you to really deploy a system the way you want to. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then the station controller to let you monitor and control the physical equipment around the radio itself.
Yeah, I cannot, hang on.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough good things about the station controller. That thing has simplified our life like you wouldn't believe. If you guys don't know anything about the station controller, George and I have done a couple of streams on the station controller. And if you want to simplify your management of your station, I don't know of another product that brings everything together in one solution where you can control that thing from Node-RED anywhere in the world, and have total control of your station. It is, George, I just want to say that thing is amazing. I love it. It is great.
Thank you, Kyle. I mean, the reason that it works in many ways the way it does, and as well as it does, is because we got really great feedback. So really good feedback from you and from others who had early access to it. And also we could like pick your brains and say, you know, what do you really need? And what's important? And that was really key, because I'd say half the stuff that we do, you could cobble together from bits and pieces, you know, from the internet, but you have to cobble it together. And there's still a lot of things that are not specific to ham radio that you have to kind of figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had to cobble things together, and it got to the point where I'm just like, this is a mess. This is an absolute mess. So kudos to you about the station controller.
Thank you. And that's the same thing we're trying to do on the software side with the iShareRadio software. So just to give you a quick overview of what is that. So the iShareRadio software, as we will deliver it, will be a cloud-based service. So it's really not much of anything you have to manage yourself. We take care of all that for you. And it really provides 5 key capabilities that extends the functionality and really makes your remote station usable in a multi-user environment. So the first thing is account management. So take Flex, for example. With FlexRadio, they have a software called SmartLink, and you have a login ID. And so when you go to access your radio remotely, you have to log in with that user credential, and you can only have one. So if you're an individual, no big deal. And if you're, let's say I want to use Kyle's station, he has to give me his login ID, and maybe he trusts me, maybe he doesn't. The problem is if you have like my club where we have 160 members and a Flex Radio, you really kind of don't want to hand out the login credentials to all 160 members. You could,
right?
But you know, people come and go, and you want better control. So the first thing that we've done is we've developed a multi-user account system. So the individual user will log into our system with their personal login credentials. They'll never see the SmartLink login. So we handle that for them. So if you log in as Kyle, we will log you into the radio with the radio's real SmartLink user ID. And you can imagine, like, right there was the first point where we really had to reach out to Flex and talk with them about this project, because we needed to be able to work very closely with them between the R&D teams so that we can actually make that work. So this was not done like in a vacuum where we hacked it. You know, we worked quite closely with Flex to actually implement this. And in fact, you know, one of the first things that happened when we had this conversation, like probably 3 years ago, I talked to the Flex folks and I said, you know, what you should really do is you should add multi-user capability to SmartLink.
Right.
And their answer very predictably was, you know what, that's like the 300th good idea this week. You know, so, you know, like, to their credit, they immediately understood what I was talking about and said, we would love to have that, but we have so many things we'd love to do. We can't do everything. So we have to pick and choose what we do. And then when we decided to work on this project, we talked to them again and said, you know, before we do this, we want to make sure that you're not doing it, because if you're going to do it, then there's no point in us doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And they said, well, no, we really still would love to see this, and we're really not going to do it right now. So we said, okay, well, in that case, will you work with us to build this? And they did. So anyway, so the cool thing about the account management, by the way, is it's not just different login IDs. We establish different permissions for each user. So for example, Kyle is an extra class licensee, and by default, you could transmit on the extra class bands. If somebody else is a technician, they could receive, but they may not be able to transmit on all the frequency bands.
Right.
And so that kind of capability, or managing the maximum power you can transmit, or which antennas could you select, that sort of thing is all configurable per user. The next thing we did was we put in a calendaring and reservation system, because if I want to use the radio next Saturday at 3 in the afternoon, I want to reserve it and know that I have it. And if someone comes along and wants to use it at the same time, they have to see that someone else has reserved it, so they can't have access to it. That's useful just to keep the users from, you know, overlapping. but it's also really important for the club management because, like I said, maybe you have a piece of equipment that's down that needs maintenance. So as the admin, I want to block out a day or an hour or whatever it is so that no one can sign up because the system's not available. Or maybe one of the 3 antennas is unavailable. So we need to be able to turn pieces of the system off from user access. The other thing that's important is
the owners wants to contest.
That was exactly my point. Yeah. So like at CQ Worldwide, and you're going to reserve the system for the club operators to operate. So scheduling is and the way a lot of people do it today is they use a Google Calendar or they send an email or whatever, but that requires, first of all, that you read your email or that you look at the calendar. And just because you have your name on the calendar doesn't mean that you can't log into the radio. But our system prevents the non-scheduled user from logging in. So
yeah,
so that's managed.
That is an admin nightmare on if you have this third-party calendar that you can just go in and take a quick look and say, oh, nobody's on any of the radios. I'm going to go ahead and log in and start transmitting. And then somebody else says, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. And then there's 2 people trying to grab the radio. That's a disaster.
Exactly. And it's much for the user's benefit to know, like, if I'm going to carve out time to operate, I want to make sure I have access to the station. I don't want to be in contention with somebody else.
Right.
So that's important. The third thing that we do is radio system administration. And what does that mean? We want to be able to supervise how the radio is being used. So let's say, for example, if for some reason I say, Kyle, we're only going to allow you to transmit up to 50 watts, and you go in and you throttle the thing up to 100 watts, then we'll monitor it and actively pull it back down to 50 watts so it's within the range of privileges that you have. Same thing with frequency bands. You go out of band, you can listen, but if you want to transmit, we'll prevent that from happening. The other thing that's really important, like with the flex radio, is they come out with new versions of software fairly frequently. And it's really easy for a user who's running, let's say, an old version of software to connect to the radio and force the radio to downgrade or upgrade to a different version of software. And you don't want to let that happen.
Right.
So the radio system administration is really our software talking with the radio to make sure it's operating in a way that the owner of the system wants it to be used.
Yeah. We had an issue where a user logged into our remote station and forgot to turn the power down while they were using the KPA 500. And you know how that went. A large sum of money had to be spent to fix some internal things in the KPA 500. So that would be awesome to have that ability to say, if KPA is on, therefore limit to 30 watts.
Yes, right. And I think from a maintenance point of view, maybe everything's great for a year, and then you think, oh, I think there's maybe something wrong with the amplifier. We want to restrict the total power output. We want to make it unavailable.
Right.
Whatever you're trying to do. The fourth thing that we wanted to do is to integrate the station controller with the iShareRadio user environment. So there's a couple ways you can run with the station controller. I get another slide on that, but you can use it in the off-the-shelf Node-RED way, or there will be a custom user interface screen that's part of iShareRadio to talk to the station controller, and in a way that's secure. So with Node-RED version, if you have access to the Node-RED source code, you can change how the station controller works, like anybody normally would. But in the case of a controlled environment like a club station, you don't want someone doing that.
Right.
So we're going to lock it down so that if you go through the iShareRadio dashboard for the station controller, you're only allowed to do things that the system owner allows you to do.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, sorry.
I was going to say, making sure nobody can change anything. Is there, you might have a slide on this, is there a log that gets produced? Yeah. That's a dumb question to you guys. Why would there not be a log? I mean, that's probably the first thing you were just like, we need a log.
Yeah, Alan, do you want to comment on that?
No, well, I'm just going to say we log everything.
Yeah.
From the administrator's point of view, we have a developer, Mike Cook, up in Ottawa, who's fantastic at all this and helping in the cloud side. And he has a dashboard that's just absolutely gorgeous that shows all the how the system's running and all that stuff. And you can drill down into the logs and say, okay, this person was on and what did they do?
Yeah.
So.
Good. I figured.
So the last little part of this, the fifth kind of big feature is something we call the iShareRadio marketplace. So here's the idea. If you put up your remote station for your personal use, it's a private thing. If you put it up for the club and allow your club members to use it, that's great. And you may or may not charge your members to use it. That's up to you. However, if you have, as an individual or as a club, you have a remote station that you want to make available for rent to anybody, then we'll provide a marketplace where you could do that. So the way that would work is you could say, well, I'm going to use my radio when I want to use it, and I'm going to block it out when I want to. But the times when I'm not using it, I'll make it available on the iShareRadio marketplace. And I want to charge so many, pennies per minute or dollars per hour or whatever price you want to pick. And the person you don't know will sign up for time. They'll purchase that block of time, and then and we'll handle all that, and then we will send a big chunk of that money to the owner. So a lot of clubs, what they really want to do is they really want to get their members to use the system.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be 100% utilized, and so it's another revenue source for the club. And frankly, the club doesn't have to do anything to set this up. I mean, it's once you enable this feature, then if it's available and someone rents time on it, then you just get paid. So there's really no big overhead.
Yeah, I mean, clubs now with the remoting capability and the consolidation of clubs and whatnot. A lot of I just talked to one probably 2 months ago that they came to me for Node-RED advice on remoting their station because the club was putting together a remote station because a lot of their members were getting older and they had moved into the kids were away and they moved to a location that didn't have antennas or didn't have a lot of space, and they had bought a couple of flexes and they were going through the Node-RED process, and this just plays right into the whole notion of making it easier, because I said, hey, I think there's a service out there, and I didn't know what to tell them regarding all of the things that you need to do, because I didn't know their specific things that they did need to do, but I helped them get Node-RED and figured up to speed and whatnot. But they were looking for this type of service, which I'm sure that there's going to be tons of clubs that have stations that want to pursue this avenue.
And the other, I was going to say, the other end of the spectrum is young new hams who haven't got a radio.
Oh yeah,
haven't got the ability to have a radio, and
yeah. Well, and that's one of the advantages of joining a club that has this feature is, you might not be, I'm here in St. Louis and there might not be any clubs in St. Louis that have this feature, but guess what? There's probably a club in, Chicago or North Carolina or California that has this feature, and I can go and sign up and be a club member or, rent time off of their station and get on the air.
So we've seen a lot of interest in exactly what you're saying. Going back to Hamvention last year, when we started to ask people about what they thought about this idea, we just got a tremendous level of interest for exactly what you guys are describing. The other scenario that we see a lot too is, let's say that the three of us are friends and we live in different parts of the country and we each have our own station, but we want to be able to share our stations with our friends.
Yeah.
So we can also use this software not in a commercial, for rent kind of situation, just as buddies. So we can say, okay, so Alan and Kyle, here's my station is up and running. You can log in to my station and use it. I can log into your station and use it, and so on. So whether you're whether you're an individual with a station you want to rent, or you're a club that wants to administer a club station for everybody, or you're 3 friends who just want to share their stations. It's really allows you to any of those scenarios to actually work without you really doing much of anything to make it.
Yeah. Don, let me take some comments here in the chat. Don says HOA. Hint,
Yeah,
hint.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Like in my situation, I have an HOA. I can put up a long wire antenna, but I'm not going to put up a tower. And I'm fine most of my operating with my little wire antenna, but there's times when I'd like to, be able to use a bigger station with a better
Yeah.
antenna,
Yeah.
and so we're just going to see a whole lot more of that sort of thing.
Yeah. Don also says, let me get the comment back up here. A log and alarms. This is back when we were talking about logging everything. A log and alarms and events back to the owner via SMS. That's interesting.
So that's totally doable through the station controller. So with the iShareRadio software, for the most part, we're going to prevent the user from doing something that's going to be bad. But on the physical side, something could fail, and maybe something's over temperature, or the SWR is too high, or whatever. And so, as a feature of the station controller, you could either look at the dashboard for that, or you can set up an alarm condition to take some action. And the action could be to flip a relay, turn off the power, send a SMS. I mean, there's all kinds of options there. And, and if you use the Node-RED version of the station controller dashboard, you can customize it to do whatever you want. So it's open source, and you could just take it from there.
Yep.
We have some commercial customers using the station controller, and what they want is like when under some condition there's an alarm, and when that alarm exists, then send a text message, and then there's commercial texting services that would be connected into it to do that sort of thing.
I have all of my station logging going to Discord. And if there's like, info and error and warning and anything above a certain event level, it sends it directly to me on Discord. And then,
cool.
Yeah.
Just a quick thing about the station controller. We talked about it already, but we're adding more capability to it. So the heart of the station controller is the dashboard running on a Raspberry Pi. That's the standard way we do it, and it's all pre-coded, and you get it and you plug and play, and in 2 minutes it's up and running. The GPIO module gives you 18 channels of switch closures and voltmeters and temperature sensors and stuff like that. HF antenna switch is a 1x4 switch, so 1 radio, 4 antennas, or 1 antenna, 4 radios. There's a UHF VHF antenna switch module, which you see in the picture there on the right. That's a high frequency impedance controlled RF relay in a box, 2-position. And we have the RF power monitor module to measure RF power, HF, VHF, UHF. And we're just doing a brand new module, which is it says remote coax switch control module. We were working with DX Engineering starting this mid this last year. And one of the things that we looked at was there's a lot of other coax switch options people want to have. Like, I've got a kilowatt and I want a 1 of 8 or a 2 of 8 coax relay, or I've got a 4 antenna phased array and I want to be able to switch select the phasing between the different antennas. It could be Yagi stacks, could be verticals. And so DX Engineering makes a whole bunch, or resells a whole bunch of brands of coax switches that do all these various things. So we worked with them and designed a control module that can control 10 different kinds of coax switches that they sell.
Oh, wow.
And that's not out yet. We've got the prototypes here and done, and they're in manufacturing right now. So we'll probably get them in a couple of weeks, hopefully. A couple of weeks, maybe a month.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it plugs and plays, looks just like these other modules. It plugs in the network, individually addressable. You can have as many as you want in the system. And you dip switch select which of the 10 personalities you want the thing to behave like.
Yep. Two things about the station controller. We have one of these in the contest station, and it is quiet. We were having some RF gremlins get in, and before we started the stream, I told George, myself and Ward and a couple other people went down to the station and traced it all the way back to an antenna disconnect that was a little dirty whenever a switching power supply was put on it. So we're going to get a linear, but we had traced it all the way back through the controller, and everything through the controller was 100% clean. We were ecstatic that it was not the controller, because I was like, oh man, if this is the controller, it's going to be bad news. And
I'm even more ecstatic than you are.
yeah, no, it was the disconnect. So it is quiet. So you know that it's not going to add any birdies to your system. And the second thing I was going to add, I totally forgot. I have no idea what I was. What was the other thing that I was going to? Oh, yeah. The cool thing about the station controller is it's all open source. So therefore, the protocol is open source. So therefore, I have had a couple of people reach out, and they had created their gizmos that connect into the DCN network, which is the protocol that George uses to communicate to all the modules. There have been a couple of people that made little gizmos that talk on the DCN network. So if you are inclined to make gizmos, you can create your own little things to plug in and control through the station controller.
Yeah, we had a couple people approach us with that very idea and said, what do you think? And I said, well, first of all, I appreciate that you reached out, because
yeah,
I'd like to know what's going on and all that. And I said that we open sourced the protocol, and it's all ASCII clear text commands.
Yeah.
So just like for a Kenwood radio or whatever, there's the control protocol that they have, and we have ours for the station controller. And we said you're welcome to use it with our blessing, and the only thing we ask is that you acknowledge that it's built in order to follow our standard. And
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, you're welcome to use it in your product. So feel free, whether it's a homebrew thing or a real commercial product. That's
Yep.
fine.
A few more questions. I want to make sure that we get to the demo,
Yeah.
because we only
Yeah.
have an hour. We have to stop
Right.
at 7 p.m. here. But Don asks, so I've got transverters on my Flex. Can I limit technicians to only the transverters? Or if I have a set as a satellite station, limit everyone to only access the transverters? Ooh, that's interesting.
There's probably a couple different ways to. So short answer should be yes. We'd have to think about the best way to do it. So one of the options is to have physical control outside of the radio. So for example, we can control the power, we can control the antenna switching with the station controller. So for sure, that's one thing. So we can say, oh, you're this class of license, or you're this individual. It doesn't even have to be a class of license.
Oh,
It could
yeah.
be like, Bob has this feature and Sally has that feature. So we can control stuff external to be consistent with your account. Also, since we are interacting with the radio through the network and through the API, then anything that you set in the radio, we can monitor and we can change, so that we can override whatever's being done if it doesn't meet the criteria that is set up for your account. So right off the top of my head, I don't know what the best way would be to do that, but I would imagine it's very doable.
Yep. Don also has a question, AO3 403A Genius antenna Genius support. Yes. Yep. And then Grayman has, is there an input power current? Is there an input power current meter on the roadmap?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, the current, is there a current meter on the roadmap? There's a couple different options we're looking at. So one question is, do you want to measure DC, I assume DC current, and at what resolution and at what maximum amount of current? There's some really good current sensors out there. You could either use a digital current sensor that talks on an I2C bus, that we can make a module pretty easy to do that. There's also some really nice Hall effect current sensors where the current comes out as a voltage. It's proportional to the current, and you could just take that voltage and run it into one of our voltmeters on the existing one and use that. So there's some workarounds that are pretty easy, and probably would have something in the roadmap. So yeah, if you just ping me and tell me what you want, I can tell you for sure how close we are to doing it.
Gotcha.
The next thing that was in the hopper was this custom antenna switch thing for DX engineering. The thing after that, there's a couple different things. We're looking at making a data logger. That's kind of a variation on this theme to monitor things like repeater system activity or power system voltage over time, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And current sensors would certainly be part of that.
Cool.
Just kind of wrap this up so we can get to the demo. The last thing, this is what the dashboard looks like in Node-RED. So it's nice and pretty. And the last thing I just want to mention is that there, like I said before, there's two different ways to talk to the station controller. One way will be through Node-RED, where you get the source and you just use it, and this is what we deliver, as you see here. The other thing is, if you're using iShareRadio, there will also be built into iShareRadio a cockpit which is not changeable by the end user.
Oh,
so it'll be configurable by the owner, but not changeable by the user.
yeah.
So you'll have a choice. So what that really boils down to is, if it's my remote station and you guys are using my system, I'd probably do it in Node-RED, and I don't think you're going to mess it up, and that's fine. But in my big, 160 member club, I don't want anybody to inadvertently mess it up. So I would use the iShareRadio dashboard for the station controller. That way they can't do anything they're not allowed to do.
Right. Got it.
So that's
Cool.
pretty much it.
Nice. All right. That's an overview. Alan?
Okay, hold on a second.
I just want to point out that the PowerPoint only failed in the beginning. So
yeah.
Let's see how the demo goes.
Yeah. Well, we got 20 minutes. We got a lot of time.
Okay.
A lot of time left.
Right. Maybe 5 minutes.
Once I figure out how to do the screen share. Okay, let's see. I want to, entire screen, a window.
Add one, carrier two.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, I'm probably sharing our same window. Or should I just do entire screen? What worked for you, George?
I did the entire screen. That worked fine. The individual window thing is
just don't log into your bank information on stream.
Yeah, I'll try not to. All right. So, all right. So, what George was talking about is, so we have our
make that big. Make it big. There you go.
There we go. And what I wanted to say was, so one of the main concepts we had with putting this together is, we're going to provide a service that makes your computer think that the radio is on your network. So you'll be able to use all of the standard stuff, for instance, that we use with Flex for right now as our starting point. You'll be able to use Smart SDR. You'll be able to use CAT and DAX and all that stuff right out of the box.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to. What you do have to do is, we have one. Get me down here to the bottom here. We have a client you put on your computer. It's a software you just download and run. And this guy is basically going to proxy the real radio.
Gotcha.
And make it look like it's on your network.
Yep.
And right now we got it connected. So if you're a user, you've already established your account on our system, you want to get on, you would log in. I've got a kind of a tester account set up here, but you've got things like profile. It tells you who you are. I'm using an old call sign of mine in my test. Your license class is going to control what privileges you get on the radio. You got to take a look at what if you're a member of a club. I'm a member of Alan's club. Subscriptions tells you when you sign up, what am I signed up for, and what can you do? And we have a bunch of different levels of subscriptions.
Yep.
And take a look at, okay, what clients have I paired to this system? So I've got the one on my PC here, and I've also used it on my Surface, and that all works. And so we'll go back. So that's just kind of giving you from a general user's point of view. Once you log in, you would decide on what level of level you want. And if you're you might have gotten an email invite from your club that invited you to be on iShareRadio, and then you would have the invite to join the club.
Yeah.
And go ahead and stop me. So when you're there, then basically as a user would jump on and say, okay, I'm gonna go right to my shack. I've got the 2 clients on here. I am a member of my shack, my club. You could have umpteen of these along here. They could be public or private. And more importantly, I'd come along here and say, I want to use the radio.
Yeah.
And I pull down here and say, who's radio? Okay, right now I'm only a member of one club, so it's Alan Shack. I want to secure that one, and I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna say I want to book this for now. It's for here. It's let's say from 4 to 5 o'clock my time, and 4 to 5 p.m. This is for demo. And I say create booking.
So that will be local time for the where is it local time where the radio's at, or the local time where you're at?
Where I'm at, me.
Gotcha.
Yep.
The end user.
That makes it easy. The back end database, everything is kept in UTC.
Gotcha.
So there's no confusion.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's not where the radio's at.
Yep.
And then you can also, if you haven't got our software, you'd go here to the software and you can download it. We have it available for Windows, Raspberry Pi, or Linux. Although the Flex software only runs on Windows, the client software can run on anything on your home network. It doesn't matter.
So there was a question. Don said, "I'll ask this for Tim. Does this work with the Mac software for Flex, or does the radio software play into it?" I think
it would probably work. I have not been able to test it. We are getting a Mac version. There'll be a 4th box here. We actually have it. We just have not put it up into our production server yet.
Yeah.
And
So,
but it really shouldn't matter.
No, it won't matter because the client that you think about is the thing that's controlling the radio, and we don't actually interact with that software.
Yeah.
So we do 2 things. We have our proxy client between you and the SmartLink, and that's, like Alan said, all platforms.
Yep.
And we talk directly to the radio, which has nothing to do with the user interface. So
yeah. So if you got Mac, you need to go download the Mac software and purchase it, and then you're in.
Yeah. And we have tested with not only the Windows Flex software, but also with a Maestro, and it works fine.
Oh yeah. Because it's on your network, right?
Yep. It's just basically the client is acting as if the radio is on your network and broadcasting on your network as if it were the radio.
So how does one, okay, then if I have a Maestro, don't I have to log into the Maestro with
not if you're on the local network?
Yeah, right. But how do I tell the Maestro? Oh, so it's not proxying. It puts.
You're going to log. So on Windows, and you pop up the SmartLink thing, and you log in normally. Yep. But when you use our software, you don't do that. With our software, you log into our system, and it knows which radios you have access to.
Right, but whenever I log into your system and create that VPN tunnel, I'm creating only that VPN tunnel from my laptop. It's
not a VPN tunnel, but it is it's a TLS, and it's it is truly proxying all the radio. So it's as if the radio was on your home network.
So then okay. I get it. So then whenever I turn on my Maestro, it's going to broadcast out and say, hey, are there any flexes on the network? And this is going to I got it. The light bulb just went off.
And one other question that usually comes after that is, so does that mean that you shove all the data from the radio to the client through your server?
Right.
No.
It just finds the radio that way, and then it connects to the radio. Yeah. Yes. All right. I just had a brain fart on how Flex works. Yeah.
No, that's a great question. I mean, reasonable question.
Yeah. It's all it'll be point to point at that point.
Yeah, because the Flex software and the Maestro, they broadcast out and say, are there any Flex radios on my network? And this client is just saying, hey, there's a Flex radio, connect to it. And then then it says, "Oh, I discovered a radio," and then it starts to talk directly.
Yeah. Well, actually, a little bit. Yeah, you're almost right. This client software is actually broadcasting and saying, "I am a flex radio."
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. That makes even more sense. Yes. Yeah. Got it.
And this is really where working with Flex was so important, because we had to work with them to figure out, well, how exactly does this SmartLink thing work and talk to the radio, and how do we emulate this and make it actually work?
Yeah, that's genius. That's awesome. That's yeah. I am a flex radio. Please connect to me.
Yes.
And then I will point you in the right direction.
Yep. That's it. So now you can see it says, okay, this is connected because I got the little green dot up here. I've got my little client showing up in the background. And if I am scheduled, I can click on this little guy that says connect. And it will show all the radios that are in that club that I can connect to, that I've scheduled for.
Right.
And I'll click on that one and I'll say connect. Okay, live demo. Okay. And Yay. It is now in the process of connecting. Oh, we got all three going on. That's great. And once you've connected, we get a new little icon because we know what your license is, and we know where you are, and we know where the radio is, and we know what your license is. So at this point, I can say, oh, we're on Alan's Flex 8400. Alan is a U.S. citizen extra class, and the transmitter's in the U.S., so here are his privileges on that radio.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
So now, and by the way, if the owner of the system said, yeah, but we don't have an antenna for 60 meters, so we're going to disable that, then you can override all that stuff, either on an individual user or for everybody.
So at that point, I am going to bring the screen down just for a second to go over here, and hopefully the magic will work. I have Smart SDR up there, and there it is, actually working. And
nice.
Cat comes up, DAX comes up, the radio comes up, everything's working.
Nice.
And
Bill had a question. He was late, but I think this plays into another bigger question of, does the target radio need the software on it? As in, is there any, I think that he means, is there anything on the remote end that you have to run?
No, except for, the target radio right now, no. And I was just thinking, if we have the station controller in the loop, it'll have however we're controlling it. No.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything. It's just stock Flex radio.
It's just on your laptop where you want to remote.
Right.
You'll need to install that piece of software that basically,
Yep. And that's it. There's nothing else to install. Everything else is the UI, and everything is a web page served from the cloud service.
Yeah. The whole idea was we did not want to get into the business of writing a UI to the radio.
Yeah.
Flex already has a great UI to the radio. Why try to replicate that? I mean, there's no value add in doing that.
Yeah.
So a few other little things I can show you. So, if I'm going to log out here, and I'm going to log in as an owner account. So if I'm the owner of this radio, so all I have in my shack is the radio. I don't even have a client to talk to it. And when I set this up, I did the credentials to talk to SmartLink.
Yeah.
And it's the only guy who has those. No one else. And of course, our database is completely secured and encrypted and yada, yada.
Yep.
And when you go to create, you want to say, okay, I want to, you can create other things. We have antennas, controllers, other stuff.
Do you put all of your this is where you put all of your devices to allow the level of security on who has access to what?
Yes.
So this is your devices that you have to put in, and then you allow people to have access to said devices.
Yeah, you create an offer. So let's say you have a whole list of things here: the radio, the antenna, the station control.
Right.
So you come along here and say, I'm going to create an offer, and I'm going to call it, what do I want to have in this offer? Right now, I only have this thing. But you can come on here and say, demo. And then you're going to say, am I going to target this for a club or not a club? It doesn't have to be a club. That's when it's completely open. But
Yeah.
you say, okay, I'm going to target for this club, all this stuff. You can at this point say, I'm going to charge, or I'm not going to charge. It's going to be available all the time, one time recurring, blah, blah, blah. So that's all built into the system.
Yeah, that is really cool.
And then the other neat thing is you can see we were down in Texas, there's we're testing out of different places. So eventually it'll show me all the people who are using my radio and where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Cool.
So one of the things that we don't have right here for the station controller integration is we also want to be able to show you, it's kind of like a network control panel where let's say, for example, like a maybe you've got 5 guys who all have their flex radios and you want to bring up the map view. Here's where all the stations are. And what's the status of each station? Are they on the air? Are they? Is there a fault somewhere? What's going on? So you kind of have your own little baby knock, so you can see what's going on in your system.
Yeah,
so we're still working our way through all the features, but we've got quite a bit. And then
So Don has got a question.
Yes.
And I have a question also. Don's question is, the firmware has to match the version of Smart SDR as usual, right? So how do you, so if I went and upgraded my Flex to, 4.1, how do I announce that or make sure that the users are using 4.1?
Okay. Because I'm going to force them to use it by the fact that I know what version my radio's on.
Okay.
So iShareRadio knows that version, and if they're not on that version, it's not going to let them upgrade, and there'll be some pop-up that says you need to upgrade your software to 4.5.
Okay, gotcha.
1.5. But we're not going to let the user upgrade or downgrade the radio.
Gotcha. So I'm assuming whenever they boot their software up, it's going to say something. Hey, the target remote software or the target Flex has got version 4.1. You need to upgrade to X version.
There'd be a message showing up here when you connect, because it'll know at that point, oh, I'm connected. Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then also just because if you're connected to the Flex, just like if I was going through my personal SmartLink account, multi-flex works, all of the so you can connect 2 people directly to a Flex that's got 2 SDUs, and
it should all work. I'm truth in advertising, and we have not tested that yet, but we've got a lot of testing. That's why we're kind of between alpha and beta right now. We're doing what I'm calling friendly betas in February, where we're going to be hammering out all these features and testing them and making sure they work. And then I'm going to call March will be our unfriendly beta.
Yeah.
And then we'll be ready. Our plan is to go live at Dayton.
Nice. Don's got another question. Very interesting. But Don, you should be up on 4.1 on all your computers or all your Flexes. But Kyle is running 4.1 and Don is running 3.9 or 3.3. And I use both radios. Wonder if there's a way around that. Don, you should be at 4.0.
You can have, okay, let's say you have radio A is on 4 and radio B is on 3. You as a client, you have both versions installed. And you just know that you need to run the right one that matches with the particular radio you want to use.
Yeah, because Flex puts all the different versions in different places. And
I can have 8 different versions on my PC, and whichever one I launch, it just has to match with the radio that I'm trying to control.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I'm going to stop sharing because we're almost out of time here. But I think I gave a good enough demo here.
That is, I mean, this is awesome.
We thought so. I'm glad you did too.
This is cool.
We've got it all. It's all working. I mean, we've got a lot of work yet to do. I mean, it's
So I looked at your website. So the website is in the description below. It's iShareRadio.com, correct?
So the parent website to go to is Sierra Radio Systems, which is the company that's providing the hardware and the software and everything. Then we have other websites that are going to be like the hubs for the actual software service itself.
Gotcha. And then you said that you're going to launch at Dayton. That's the goal.
Yes.
Gotcha. And are there? I'm assuming you're going to launch with a set of features, and then or do you guys have things in the background that you're going to release as
Yeah, a lot of the
time
things
goes on?
we've talked about. I mean, we're gonna roll with the features that we know are hardened.
Yeah.
And because we've talked about a lot of features, but some of those will probably be rolling out through the the months after Dayton.
And I would say pretty much everything we've talked about here in the stream is going to be there for the Hamvention 1.0 release.
Yeah.
And probably as we start beta, I mean, everything Alan showed you, which is, I mean, a fully functional system, is going to be there in the beta. There's probably some corner case things and this and that, or some combinations of something we haven't tried yet. That'll, like, for example, the station controller built-in control panel, that's coming about a month later than the beta start. So
Gotcha.
but that'll all be there by the time we hit Hamvention.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, we got 3 minutes. I am blown away. This is really cool. This is the coolest thing that I've seen in a while.
So the last thing that I'll mention is, someone's probably asking, like, okay, what's all this going to cost? So the answer is we haven't figured that out yet. So we're working on it. And part of it is like, how many different, packages and whatever, because, it costs a lot of money to not only develop this stuff, but it costs a lot of money to run it. So it's going to be an annual subscription model, and we're going to have some kind of tiered approach where, if you're one person and you want to let your dad access it from his house, that'll be cheaper than like I'm a club with 200 members and 5 radios and all that. So we got to figure out what does that really look like. So we're not sure on the pricing yet, but that's the approach we're going to take.
Very cool. Thanks, Don. Appreciate it for the super chat. I'll always appreciate super chats, Don. Good stuff. Yeah, this is awesome stuff. I mean, this is the cool stuff that you put smart hams with the right tools and the right knowledge in the right places, and you get really cool stuff. This is the cool stuff that ham radio is about.
Well, you're right, because when we started this project, somebody said, "Oh, tell me about it," and we described what it was, and their question was, "How do you make money at that?" What? And like I said, I don't know if we are. Like would be lucky if we can like pay back our costs. But it was the sort of thing that we were really passionate about wanting to do, and we figured, well, let's just build it, and hopefully it'll be popular, and that'll make it worthwhile.
The other thing is a year and a half ago we had a discussion with Flex, and they just said, "Oh, okay, just do this, that, and the other thing," and we said, "Oh, that'd be easy." It's a year and a half later.
But how projects go. It's like when you're done with the project, you look back and go, "Man, I never would have done that project had I known then what I know now." Right?
I know.
So
if I'd peel back the curtain here and let you look at the rest of my basement, you'd be like, "Look at all those projects that I'm just like, why did I do that? That's the dumbest thing."
I got to say though, Kyle, the only reason that we're as far along as we are, or why I'm very bullish about it really being good, is because Alan and the team, and Mike in particular, along with Alan, I mean, both of these guys are professionals in this area and have been at multiple companies and startups and this and that, building stuff like this, just not this application. And so what they've been able to create is remarkable. I mean, in a relatively short period of time. So I'm just really really super happy that with the team that we've got, it's been great.
Yeah, really cool stuff. Where do you know where you're going to be at in Dayton? Are you going to be in the same place that you were last year?
Same place, 3012, I think, is the booth number. So it's the back left corner of Building 3.
Gotcha. Oh,
I'm sure we're going to be hanging in the Flex booth, and and in the DX Engineering booth from time to time as well.
Yeah. One last question before we leave here: is there going to be an API if I want to integrate into my current remote station equipment?
So you mean like a non-flex radio, or?
Let's talk about let's say that.
So short story is that it's on the roadmap. We're not going to have that at Hamvention. One of the reasons, there's a bunch of reasons we started with Flex. They're really the leader in remote station stuff. They got the best features, they got the best software environment. So it was really the obvious place to start. And there's going to be other people that want to use other radios and all that stuff. And we certainly have an idea how that can be done, but we haven't built it out. So we'll probably know better at Hamvention what what the future looks like. But
Yeah.
um,
But I think our philosophy is to try to make our client make it look like you have that radio on your home network.
Yeah.
So right now, for instance, you put our client on your home network, you can do all the APIs you want that you do with Flex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We don't, it's as if the radio's on your network.
Right. Right.
And so,
So for Flex, we don't get in the way of any of that stuff. And for
No.
non-Flex radios, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, I guess what you could do, I guess you could build your own Node-RED dashboard to connect to the Flex and run that, right? Because that's just over the Flex protocol, right?
Oh yeah, you can do Node-RED with controls that talk to the API to the radio, and that has nothing to do with us, frankly. I mean, you could just do that without any of this.
Right. So
yep.
Yeah, I still run my Stream Deck with this stuff. All works.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh
yeah, my Stream Deck, my big Flex radio knob works. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, in fact, so one thing we just tested this week was if you use the station controller control panel in the ISR web page, do you need the Raspberry Pi as your target for your Node-RED thing? And the answer is no, because the thing that generates the commands to the control modules is now the ISR software, not a Raspberry Pi. Well, but how do you physically talk to it? And so on the back of a Flex is a USB. There's 2 USB sockets. So you can take a USB to RS485 dongle, plug it in, and if you hit a button like antenna 1, it'll send the command from our webpage to the radio. It'll use the serial pass-through and pop out the back end of the Flex radio and go straight to the control module. And you don't even need the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, you don't
unless
even
you
need
want
it.
Unless you want to add some functionality. But
right.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting. Huh. Wow. That's amazing. That's
so
awesome.
We tested that this week and it worked. Like, who knew?
All right. Very good. Okay, everyone. Thanks, George. Thanks, Alan. This is awesome. I can't wait to see this thing. This is going to be great.
Well, you'll be a beta tester, won't you?
I will. I will be a beta tester.
Good.
Yeah, we can put it down to the station and connect to it. Yeah, be more than happy to try and break it.
Thanks so much for having us on.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Everyone go over to Jason's stream. I think that we're going to talk about Hamcation in a couple of weeks. Oh my gosh, it's 12 degrees here. I'd love to go to Hamcation right now, but all right. Thanks, guys.
73.
73. Thanks. Bye now.
All right, clear.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, George. I appreciate you.